Boom, welcome back to, I suppose, a light episode of Two Peas on a Pod. We've got one P on a pod. Hello, Phil H.
Hello.
And we've got, obviously, myself, Sandip. Hello, nice to be speaking to you all in what has been my birthday week, first of all.
Bigger than that, it's been your bread day week.
It's been my bread day week. And everyone was saying to me, happy birthday, and I was just sending back, happy bread day. You mean happy bread day? We spoke about it a lot, obviously, but no bread all year until the 1st of June. And then on the 1st of June, I had pizza, I had garlic bread, I had a burger, I had a hot dog, and then I shat.
Do you know what's funny? Not funny. Do you know what's ironic? Is when I heard on January 1st, you text a group saying, I'm not having bread till my birthday on June 1st. I said, that's the craziest thing I've heard. And then 2020 happened.
Yeah. And then the year went to shit.
Should we just do that? Should we just do like a half-year review?
Yeah.
Like, 2020 is taking like Hold My Beer to a whole new level, isn't it?
It's fucking mad.
Fucking mad.
It's mad. Do you know what I'm looking forward to at the end of this year? Big Fat Quiz of the Year. I love watching that. I love watching that every year.
It's going to be like a 5-hour special.
We kicked the year off with Corona, which I guess we can talk about for a bit. It seems to be just, I don't know, bruv. Like, everyone's just not talking about it anymore. It's not in my timeline anymore.
Nah, COVID is just, it's out there though, isn't it? Like, it's still happening.
Yeah.
But like you said, I haven't even thought about it. I think I just walked by someone the other day. Like, I might have even like glanced at, like, brushed their arm. I didn't even realise. I was like, I need to get my head back in gear. Like, this is not over. 2020 is not giving up that easily.
No, it's not over. But at the same time, bruv, I was over it a few weeks ago. Like, I was just I knew I would do this as well. I think I might have even said it on a pod. I knew that I would be very kind of, we all need to, lock down, let's isolate, protect the vulnerable and social distance and blah, blah, blah. And I knew after a while, I'd be like, oh, fuck, how long can we stay indoors, man? Like, I knew I
feel
would
like
do that.
That's everyone on the pod though as well. Like Eggy, you, me, like obviously Phil P. We're just very sociable people. It's a testament to the fact we've been podding in one form or another for what, 8 weeks now?
Yeah.
And we haven't missed have we missed one? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think we've missed one. Obviously, we normally record on a Wednesday. But as long as we're recording once a week, it should be fine. But yeah, it has been good that we've been able to do it. But what are your thoughts on it now, brother? Do you feel there's a second wave coming? Do you feel like it's relaxed where it needs to be and we should just kind of go back? Do you feel like we should be eased back? Do you feel like fuck it, open up? What do you think?
I feel like all of those things at different times during the day. It's like I wake up and it's 8:30 and I've still got half hour to walk from my bed to my laptop and I'm like, fuck it, let's stay locked down forever.
Yeah, innit?
And then it's like 12 o'clock and you're eating lunch and I'm like, I can't watch this rerun of Parks and Recreation at lunch again. I'm like, let's go back to work.
Yeah.
And then gets to after work and I'm drinking beer that's in my fridge that costs about 80% less than what's in the pub. And I'm like, yeah, let's stay in lockdown for a little bit, but I would like to go to the pub.
Yeah.
Then I go to bed and it starts all over again.
Yeah, that's it. Every day is just like an emotional roller coaster. Like what we should be doing, what we should be feeling.
And I've got emotions to burn anyway.
Yes. Your emotional roller coaster at the best of days.
Yeah. I'm just like a fucking loop to loop. What's that ride at Thorpe Park? Nemesis. Nemesis.
Colossus, isn't it?
Colossus, yeah.
They've made it mandatory that you got to wear a face mask on public transport now. What do you think about that? The fact that they're changing the laws now to make sure it's the spread is obviously reduced a little bit. They've also banned sex in the UK with people outside of your household as well. It's now illegal to have sex with strangers, I guess.
I don't know. Like that's probably the most awkward law ever, isn't it? Who's going to enforce that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Imagine like if someone just snuck out. Just imagine that. Just like a police officer knocking down your bedroom door, tracking driver's licenses.
Yeah. Is that a weapon
Imagine...
you've got there? No, it's just an erection.
Yeah. That is, I mean, I wouldn't, if I imagine being the minister, because I know for a fact, obviously they prepare these questions and statements. I'd read them and be like, yeah, like, I'm not saying that.
I'm not saying
They've
that,
obviously, yeah. If they can't figure that out, then that's on them, really, isn't it? I can't even enforce that.
And it's like one of those things that it shouldn't need to be said. It's like, right, we should be keeping it, you should be only socializing with one person from outside your household, and you can go to households, but keep 2 meters, blah, blah, blah. Oh, by the way, sex is banned. Well, yes, obviously. Like,
yeah.
you don't have a 2 meter dick. So, yeah, I mean, we get it. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just like saying murder's illegal, but then going, oh, by the way, you can't murder with hammers. You can't murder with a gun. Like, we know. Like,
you can't kill at short range.
Yeah, if you're going to kill someone, you have to be more than 2 meters away.
No, but you said the face mask thing as well, didn't you?
Yeah, so it's mandatory now on public transport.
I saw that. Well, you know that I'm not much of a conspiracist. I take facts at face value, which is probably easier. But I do have a conspiracy theory around the face masks, which is they've said all this because they've looked at the suppliers and been like, we don't have enough, and people start buying them. Let's just tell them they don't need them yet. And then when we get the stocks up, then we'll tell them they can go on public transport with a face mask. There's no way you go from we don't need face masks till it's mandatory, you might get fined.
What do you mean? So you're saying that they have stocked up on them and now they're trying to get rid of them? Is that what you mean?
Bosh.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Not trying to get rid of them. I think they're saying, look, well, we got enough to go around now.
Right. Okay.
I don't think they're dumping them or anything like that.
Right.
But that's just my little conspiracy theory, which I've got loads of time to create now.
Yes.
So I don't have to commute 3 hours a day. So I throw myself into my conspiracy theories.
Oh, good. That can always end well. Fuck me. We got asked that we got a text in the group chat, the work one, like, can you all reply if you do like a face mask, yes or no? I was like, no. I don't feel like I don't want to be sat there with one of those fucking headbands on and the thing coming down, feeling like but like, yeah, bruv, they want us to wear those. It's like,
what, a riot mask?
That's what I'm saying. Is there a riot? Like, what's going on here? Like, is it a protest or what? I don't need one of them. Like,
there is at your office. Lines out the door in it every day.
Fuck, mate, don't. The high street, they don't play around. So that was just the first half of the year was fucking Corona, mate. Like, it's been an absolute mental year. Kobe Bryant passed away as well.
Yeah, that was awful.
Fucking, like, just mental. One of the greatest to ever do it. One of the greatest sportsmen and then one of the greatest philanthropists, obviously. Like,
you know, one of the things that really hit home about that is when he was in Michael Jordan's documentary on Netflix, wasn't he?
Oh, man.
And that was when I watched that, whichever episode it was, I said to my missus, I was like, that's the first time I've heard Kobe Bryant speak since, obviously, I know that he passed away. And I don't know, I've never felt, obviously, I've felt power from like watching previous speeches. Like, I used to quite a lot of it in uni, like watch speeches that great people had made. But they were all from generations that I wasn't a part of. But then someone like Kobe Bryant, who even in the UK, you would see an image of it. A, you knew he was, which is massive for a basketball star in the US, let alone one that plays on the West Coast. And B, you would see him in some regard, like daily or at least 2 or 3 times a week. Like on Sky Sports, he was regularly on highlights. And Sky Sports don't even cover NBA in a massive way. And then, no, that was horrible.
Fucking, yeah, really, 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 really bad. I've, seeing him on the Jordan documentary as well. It's just little things as well. Like, obviously, we've been playing NBA. It's our new go-to game now, and I play. My character guy plays for the Lakers, and it was like, oh, a legend. I was at one of the team practices, working on my jump shot, and it was like, we've got a special guest coming to look at the training today, Kobe Bryant, and then it had him perfectly, like the graphics of him and that, and I was just like, fuck, man, like he's not here anymore. Like, he's not around anymore. It's fucking, it's really, 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 really shit. I mean, I'm trying to think before we get into the main crux, which I think we're going to talk about in just a moment, of any like good things that have sort of happened this year, like some really big positive news. I know there's obviously going to be some, but I just can't really.
I can't think about it, which is a very good that's not a good outlook, but like what you said, you've got to try and find something positive.
Mm. I
I
don't know.
mean,
I guess on the spot, it's difficult to think. I mean, me just thinking of this year now, like even thinking about it from like January, February, March. Like, if you ask me what date did Kobe pass away, what date did we go into lockdown? When's the last time you had a haircut? Bruv, I don't.
yeah, innit?
The whole fucking year is just like a weird fucking blur. Like it's so
It's,
strange.
it's June.
It's the beginning of June. Yeah, we're halfway through. Did you see all the earthquakes happen in Yellowstone?
Genuinely, no.
Mate, like there's been 5 recorded earthquakes at the moment in Yellowstone, and people are scared that it's about to erupt. That would top it. That would just that would just top every in it. Like this is what I'm saying. Like I'll try and get the actual news story up, but it's like it's just mad. I think Joe Rogan posted it up, just saying that like, can 2020 literally get like any crazier? And he's got a legit point. Like it's just a nuts time. Almost a dozen earthquakes recorded in clusters near Yellowstone Park in just 24 hours. There you go.
A dozen.
Dozen, yeah.
Fucking hell. Yellowstone, it is a volcano, isn't it?
It's just one big active volcano. Yeah, it's a bit like Hawaii. It's just one massive, big volcano that's just sort of awaiting to.
Do people live there?
Near Yellowstone? Yeah, of course.
People think about the US, like in terms of, natural disasters. They have them everywhere.
Mm.
Like in Oklahoma, there's twisters left, right, and center. Why would you live there?
It's mad, isn't it? It's crazy.
I mean, I get it. Like, I'm sure you've got family and stuff like that, but I think that in some places you can't even get certain insurance.
Fuck.
Like you can't. Obviously, you can't get tornado insurance. Well, what do you pay for a house?
Can
you even factor that in? Like, look, genuinely, I think this house might get tornadoed at one point.
But then you can't do anything about it. You can't do anything about it. Like, it's mad.
It's like Florida gets hurricanes every single year without fail.
But you have, I know we like mock you for it and stuff like that, but you have lived in America, and your sort of knowledge of America might be like, and obviously having lived there, you've spoken to Americans and maybe been in on some jokes. Like, what is it about Florida, bruv? Like, what is wrong? Like, why does so much fucked up shit happen in Florida?
That's a really good question, and I don't know, but they are about a lot of jokes.
Yeah,
I think it's just there. It's not. I say there, like I'm not going to blame the whole of Florida.
No, but yeah, I'm not talking about everyone. Obviously, I'm just saying it's like it's a thing.
It's just one of those places that it's just they just think it's a party. Like there's nothing really serious down there. I'm sure there is serious businesses, but I don't really. It's not like the global headquarters of many places. I know Disneyland's there, which probably pretty much sums it up. Like I might be one of the biggest businesses there. Like Miami's a major city, but what's ironic is people go there from like abroad and they love it, and it's a swing state, to be fair, in voting terms. But in my opinion, it's more it's a southern state. That's what people don't really get most time. Is it is a southern state?
What a southern state? Yeah.
It's probably the most southern state, really, at its bottom point. I would say that it's probably slightly more progressive than like what's called the True South, which is like the Bible Belt, which is like Alabama, like Arkansas, so states like that. Probably a little bit more progressive than that. But yeah, I just think when you go down there, there's not really like any serious commerce or anything like that and that type of thing. Like even the universities are just massive party schools.
Yeah.
Been in Tallahassee, which is, I think that's the state capital, but it's really close to Alabama, so they call it Talabama.
Right, okay.
Which is just, I mean, the South in general just gets ribbed anyway.
But Miami's mental as well, isn't it? Like, it's just a crazy place to party and shit.
It's interesting because from the way I look at it is that you've got a very southern state with some very progressive cities in it. Like Miami's probably quite progressive. It's, culturally diverse, and it's just really interesting. But then you've got other places, I think the more south you go, that are just more, old fashioned, that type of thing. A lot of people retire there as well. So a lot of old people live there, similar to where I lived, which is in Arizona. But Florida and Arizona are two of the biggest retirement states, along with Texas and Nevada. So you just get like that sleepy state type of feel to it as well. Obviously, Texas and Nevada aren't very sleepy because Texas is like Dallas and Nevada is Las Vegas. But those two, yeah, I don't really know why, but people definitely like to take the piss out of Florida.
It's always like Florida man charged on this, Florida man charged on that. Although I did read that the reason why Florida man blah 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 is such a like a well-known headline is because Florida is one of the only states where they've got different privacy laws. So if someone gets arrested in like Texas, for example, they would say, you know, Mr. John Jones, whatever, arrested, not John Jones, the fighter, but, you know, someone.
I was going to say.
Although he has been arrested and is from Albuquerque. Anyway, so he, you know, he has been arrested. But in Florida, they have privacy laws where I don't have to put people's names. So the headline will just be Florida man or Florida woman. Do you know what I mean? Which is, I suppose, good and bad.
Joe Rogan posted something the other day. It was like a ridiculous Florida man headline. And Joe Rogan posted throughout the entirety of 2020, Florida's been stunningly consistent. And it was just another ridiculous headline. It's just an easy place to take the piss. It's like people probably ask, why does everyone take the piss out of Eggy when he's on the pod? It's easy.
Here you go. Florida woman arrested after kissing strangers at bar, calling 911 on same bar for violating distancing rules.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell. You know what, bruv? It's a testing
crazy
time.
Country.
It's a testing time in America at the moment. It's a testing time, I guess, all around the world at the moment. And obviously, I've never been one to shy away from voicing my views or voicing my opinions on certain things. But as we know, in America recently, a black man by the name of George Floyd was had a knee on his neck for over 8 minutes, was asphyxiated to death, had 3 officers on him and another officer preventing people from intervening or not intervening himself, which is it's just basically a long line. It's the latest in a long line of things like this that have happened, and this one seems a little bit different. It feels different from what it sparked through social media and stuff like that. And I'm really interested to get your thoughts on it. I'm really interested to pick your brain on a few things as well. But for me, and do you know what? I've been thinking about this a lot, right? And I can really start to compare it in a change of ways where, for me, the most marginalized people in society throughout the whole of entirety of the world has been women, right? The most marginalized people in society, to the point of not being able to vote and that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden, what happened is through the power of social media and the Me Too movement, people started to share their experiences. People started to talk about it. People started a hashtag, and with a simple hashtag of Me Too, the world changed. And I don't give a fuck what people say if they don't agree with that. The world changed. Aggressive sexual men were put in their place. Women were given a voice more on social media, and Harvey Weinstein and people like that, and, you know, people like Epstein and all these kind of, you know, these people that were getting away with it for years and years and years were started to be held accountable, and people started to share stories to be like, wow, women, because we're not sexist, rapists, and sexually aggressive towards women, it's not something that it would be at the forefront of our minds. And when we started to hear about it and read about it, people started to make a change, and a change has happened. And hopefully over time, it will get better for women. Now, another marginalized section of society are ethnic minorities. So now it just feels like, and I actually shared something on social media the other day as well, which is, you know, just about a few things that I've experienced in my life being of Indian descent and stuff like that. It just feels a little bit different, bruv. I don't know. It just feels like people may be taking a bit more attention to it. And I just feel like, I don't feel like it's a time to bash white people. I don't feel like it's a time to be hammering white people. I feel like but I do feel like it's a time for white people to be speaking a little bit louder about injustices and things that they see. But I also think, racism will never stop, because I really strongly believe that a lot of racists don't know that they're fucking racist, bruv. A lot of racists will go to work, talk to the black mate that works there, and then come home and type "All Lives Matter" on their phone. Like, I don't feel like they know that they're being racist. But give me your thoughts on it, bruv, just as what you can see and what you've kind of witnessed.
Like, just to start with, the first thing you brought up is obviously George Floyd. It's a murder, isn't it? There's no other way to put it. A man was murdered
Yeah.
in broad daylight and videoed.
Mm-hmm.
I follow Sean King on Instagram, and he provides like the most up-to-date information. He's very tuned into like social justice, and he talks about, you know, it was him or an organization he's associated with that had the attorney general in Minneapolis taken off the case and transferred to another attorney who upped the charges.
Grassroots Law is his law firm.
Grassroots Law, yes. I think it's a time for people to listen and truly listen, like, and don't interrupt, and don't be, well, what about if we do this? No, there's not. Like, just shut up and listen and hear people's pain, because, as you know, that's what you've got to hear it to understand it. To interrupt make, to me personally, if I was to interrupt someone, it kind of makes me look to them like as if I think I have the answer. Do you know what I mean? And I don't.
No,
I don't. No one does. Well, I'm sure somebody does. The answer is to listen and to be a better person and to try and eradicate racism. Or to eradicate. There should be no try. It should be to eradicate racism. There's two terms that I never quite understood until I read Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race. And in that book, right at the beginning, the author addresses the title. It is the biggest case of don't judge a book by its cover ever. And the title is actually the title of an article that she wrote for a newspaper, I believe. And the two terms that I didn't really quite understand but wanted to learn about were structural racism and white privilege. I don't think people truly understand what white privilege is. And in the book, one of the reasons that people don't do it is because it means you have to hold a mirror up to your face and try and understand the privileges that you've had, and then put the mirror down and try and put yourself into somebody else's shoes who doesn't have white privilege. There is no way you can't say that someone, you know, me as a white middle-class man doesn't experience white privilege probably on a daily basis in some way or another, and in many ways that I don't even know about, I'm sure.
And that's not your fault, by the way. Like, you know.
No, I understand that. I've never ever been stopped in a car, and I've driven past police cars speeding, not on purpose. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, like you just graze. I'm not saying like I was doing Fast and Furious. Like,
fuck
I grazed
you,
over.
big cunts. Yeah, no, I don't think you were doing that. Yeah.
But I have a friend in the US, and he talks about how, I won't say any names here, but he talks about how he got pulled over in a car, and him and all of his friends are black or African American. So I don't know which the correct term is.
Black's fine, bro.
Yeah. So no, him and all of his friends are black, and they were just driving around. They were actually driving to a bar, I think. They were just being social. They weren't doing anything wrong. And the police officer approached the window, and the first question he said is, "Where are the guns at?"
Fuck.
And that's it. That's the first thing that he said. And I think I mentioned this in a podcast we did shortly before we went into lockdown. We remember it was me, you, and Eggy in the studio. And Eggy spoke about his interactions, how he feels about racism. And I said to him, if I, like, you remember the taxi example? That's a true story. And I get that all the time.
Yeah.
I get that all the time. Things aren't the way they used to be. First of all, I don't really know what you want when you say things aren't the way they used to be. Like, the 80s was shit. The 90s was shit.
Yeah. The 70s were even shit.
The 70s was shitter, yeah. The 60s. That's it. I mean, I don't know what people say when they want that. You live in the best time in terms of technology and that type of thing. But what they're all driving at is the fact that culturally their neighborhoods have changed and they're uncomfortable with it. I like to see diversity. I think it's what makes this country great. I think that we are, you know, I know we're culturally diverse, and we can be even better. I genuinely believe that we can be at the forefront of any change. I think this is one of the best countries that's positioned for it. I understand that obviously there is a lot of structural racism that goes on in our country, and we aren't where we should be, and we need to do better. But with structural racism, what blew my mind was that it is something that society's been lulled into. in the sense that it's not structural, as in it's not structural from the standpoint of the company that you work for, or that I work for, or in any working capacity. It's the fact that structurally, I have, been born, been middle class my whole life, grew up in a nice neighborhood. I went to a great school and have had all the opportunities that have been afforded to me and not had to worry about money, really, anything truly, and that isn't the same across the entire population, because structurally, people of ethnic minorities are more likely to live in lower socioeconomic classes and to go to schools that are underfunded because of the borough that they're in, and they won't get as much attention, they won't get as good of an education, and then you're basically being tripped up at the start line, because your education is the foundation for most people, the start of their career, and you might not be able to get a good job because of that. And it's when you look at it from that, is that you shouldn't look at it from the viewpoint of comparing my life to someone who's 30. I've got to think about the advantages that I had when I was starting school when I was 7. That's where it starts. It is a lifetime of inequality that people suffer. And like you said, it definitely does feel different. People are engaging. I think I need to definitely do more. The way I like to learn is by reading books. I wouldn't say I thought I'd done enough. I knew that there was more to study, but I'm just trying to figure out which the right book is for me, or what a standing point is. We were talking about that shortly from before, and then just to be better and to weed out to start standing up for people. I did it the other day. Well, I didn't do it the other day, but like when people talk, you just have to go, you're not seeing it from their perspective. You're just complaining about someone. Do you know what I mean? You're just complaining about someone like Sean King because you don't understand him. You don't understand what he's trying to do. He's probably A, very upset, and B, organizing one of the largest social justice communities in the world. I couldn't do that when I was upset. If I was upset, I'd probably want to lock myself in my fucking room, wait for it to all blow over. He's being proactive.
Yeah, he's doing
it's incredible.
Something. Yeah,
and you just need to listen to community leaders. What is their voice? What are they trying to say? But like you said before, I lived in the US, and a lot of it stems from it's the 13th Amendment, isn't it? It's just, when you read about it, it's just crazy.
It's mad. The 13th Amendment basically says that if you are in the prison system, you are a slave, basically. So slavery is basically legal currently in the United States of America through the 13th Amendment. Like,
I saw a statistic today that said 14% of Black people are ineligible to vote because they have criminal records.
Yeah, exactly. If you have a felony, you can't vote.
Yeah.
And that's how they get you. And you can get a felony. People say, "Oh, you shouldn't have a felony." It's pretty fucking easy to get something on your record. Trust me.
Mate, I tell you one thing. There are a lot of laws over there that you can get trumped up charges on.
Yeah.
I don't quite understand their legal system. I never pretend to. It's not something I ever really wanted to learn to understand in terms of their actual penal code. Because the truth is, their laws change from state to state.
Yep.
You have state laws, you have city laws,
federal law.
Federal law, yeah. It doesn't, to me, it never really made any sense. It's a federation, really. It's a group of 50 states that are all trying to, coexist as one country, which is, doesn't really make much sense to me, even from a pragmatic point of view.
Yeah. But again, I think it is important to stress that this isn't just America's problem. Like, this isn't a problem that's happening in America. It's a problem that happens all over the world. It's a problem that, it's just, for me,
how do you feel about it? That's what's important. What do you for you, what's the best way the world can look in 10 years' time?
I think it's going to be a lot longer than 10 years, but it's a good question. I think the first thing that needs to happen now at the moment is the understanding of each other. And also it's important to have the right amount of balance. And it's important not to get tribal with this, because tribalism is very, very, it's very, very, very like poignant today in today's society. We love a tribe. The first thing for me at the moment is like I said, balance. It's the balance of understanding that not all police officers are racist. It's a balance of understanding that not all white people are racist. It's also a balance of understanding that some black people commit crimes and deserve to be arrested. And it's also understanding that some white people do crimes as well, and are also killed by police officers in America as well. Like there's issues everywhere, but the loudest voices at the moment, and the only voices that I'm really interested in at the moment, are those of the black community. Because I'll be honest, as an Asian living in England, if I want to do a bit of self-reflection on myself as well, I've had it pretty good, bruv. I went to the same school as you. I had pretty much the same upbringing as you had. My dad and granddad were successful business owners. The most that I got growing up was your dad's got a packy shop, and being called a packy, because it was the easy thing to do. If you're in an argument with a fat kid, you call him a fat cunt. If you're in an argument with an Asian kid, you call him a packy. There's that, it's just one of the things that it's the easy thing to get to. I also think there's a lot of self-reflection that needs to be done in all communities at the moment, because Indian people are racist to Indian people, bro. Like, we have systemic racism and classism in ourselves. Like, it's something that if we want to go it away, like we're quick to point fingers at the white man, which is obviously fair enough, but until we need to sort our own shit out as well, and then we can maybe focus on some other shit as well. But my missus asked me a really poignant question the other day, because I've just been going on about it so much. And she just basically said, get over it, Brownie. No, she said, she basically said, do you feel like you being brown has ever affected you in your life in regards to opportunities? Do you feel like your race has ever affected you getting a job? Do you feel like your race has ever affected you not getting something over a white person? And you know what? I thought about the question. I thought it was a good question. And the shame of it is, bruv, is that I don't know. I don't know if it's prevented me. That's the bad thing. And the reason why I don't know is because I don't know if the person sitting across me in an interview room doesn't like Indians. I don't know if the person looking at my CV and saw the name Sandip Man and knew it was Indian and then just didn't take it. Like, I don't know if I've been affected by it. I like to think that I haven't been affected by it, because I'm quite successful in the fields that I choose to go into, but I'm never really gonna know, and that is a shame, I guess. I think it's important as well, like the term white privilege. The first thing to understand, if you say to a white person to recognize your white privilege, is probably a bit visceral. It's probably like, what? Like, what do you mean my white privilege? Fuck off. Like, but it's not. It's very, very important that it's not called white guilt. It's not called, like white precedence. It's not called anything like that. It's just called white privilege, and it is the privilege that you get afforded to for being white in certain situations. Now, don't get me wrong, when you walk into a grime rave in East London, you probably won't get a lot of white privilege in there, because you might walk in and be the only white person in there, so you might not get that. However, the world isn't a grime rave, unfortunately. The world is based where the majority of police officers, judges, teachers, academics, business owners, CEOs, CFOs, are politicians, leaders of the countries, are predominantly white men. That's just the way the world is, bruv. And you can't argue with that at the moment. Like, you cannot argue with the fact that the world is predominantly ruled by white men. But I feel like I don't know why it's so hard and so difficult to just look at facts. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand why it's so difficult to look back on the founding forefathers of America were all white. George Washington, all these people, they were white people, and it's land that was stolen from Native Americans, and they celebrate Thanksgiving about it. Like, bruv, like, if you need to understand, like, and you need to understand the history of shit. Like, I know my background, bruv. Like, it was recently the anniversary of you know, the Sikh killings of June 4th, 1984, and what occurred in Punjab with the Indian government running in and literally pillaging the Punjabi community. I know about the shit there. I know about genocides, bruv. I know about the Holocaust. I know about this stuff. I don't understand why it's so difficult for especially Trump and white leaders in America to just turn around and be like, and even The Rock was saying it today, like, bruv, we're turning to celebrities and ex-professional wrestlers for meaningful statements. Like, it's so mental. Like, the people that we're looking to, I look to comedians before I look to politicians, bruv, and it's fucking ridiculous. Like, I want to know what Joe Rogan, Dave Chappelle, and fucking these kind of people, and Chris Rock, and I want to know what these people are saying. And and Kevin Hart, I look to their social commentary more than I look to politicians, because you don't get any sense out of them, bruv. It's like, it's so clear to see of a protest occurring in America of white people carrying assault rifles and Trump calling them good people, to then young black men going out and protesting and being called thugs. Like, if you can't see that, you got a serious issue. You got a serious problem. Like, you know,
Well,
bad.
it was his former defense secretary. He's either the defense secretary or he's the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Mattis, who resigned under Trump's presidency, released a statement today and said that he's done nothing ever to unite the people of the US. All he's ever done is try to divide. And from the small snippets I've read, he does acknowledge that, you know, the overarching role of the president should be to unite the country,
Of course,
or to try. And I don't really know how people can stand next to him and say, I never understood it from day dot. I know that they're, you know, like you said, not everyone's a bad person. Him, I don't think he's doing anything good for the country. Fails to be a leader at every single corner. But how some of the people in his party don't actually come out. It was I think it was a Utah senator who asked about the church walk, where they cleared protesters of tear gas, which is a biological weapon, by the way.
Yep.
Is it biological? In any case, it is a cruel and unusual weapon to use on your own people. And then he walked to a church and held up a Bible and didn't go inside. And then the Archbishop even decried him for it. And they asked the senator the next day, mind you, and he did that. Let's just say he did it at 5 o'clock, right? Which is East Coast time, which is probably either 3 o'clock, between 2 and 4 Mountain Time, which I think Utah's on. It would have been 2 o'clock in the afternoon in Utah. And they asked him the next day. And he said, I haven't read any articles. I haven't seen it on the news. Yeah. It was the biggest news story that day. Yeah. And that's what he said. How, like, if that was general conversation, I went up to him and go, did you see that thing yesterday? What do you think about it? I haven't seen it. Like, well, you must be everywhere. It's everywhere. Like, you're stupid for not knowing. That's actually a really big event. And the way he talks about using the military on his own people, I think should be impeachable.
It's mad. When the looting starts, the shooting starts. That was a quote from one of the Confederate leaders. Like, mate, is this the time to be quoting Confederate leaders? Like, what? Like, this is the time where potentially, and it's probably not going to happen because people are cleverer than that, but let's say the country is on the cusp of a race war. Do you really want to start fucking quoting that Southern civil army leaders? Like, I think he doesn't think, but the as bad as he is, and as unhelpful as he is, and the statements that he makes, he is nothing compared to the amount of the followers that he has. Like, people respect him. Oh, he's saying stuff. It's like people in this country that give people like Tommy Robinson and stuff a blie, and they say, oh, he's saying things that people were scared to say. And listen, it's really, let me try and explain something to a white person in general as well. Like, bruv, it's and I saw this on Instagram, so don't think that I'm kind of coming up with all these great quotes and ideas and all this kind of stuff. But you've said yourself that, you know, you want to read up on it more, and, you know, you're starting to kind of acknowledge it more, and it's a conscious decision that you have made to want to understand racism more, and to kind of, you know, you've already read books about racism and systemic racism and that kind of stuff. Bruv, for a white person to want to learn about it and to make a conscious choice to want to learn about racism is actually it's a privilege that you have that choice, bruv, because I didn't get that choice. The way I learned about racism was being told to fuck off back to my own country when I was born in All Saints Hospital in Chatham. Like, that's the way that I've had to learn about racism. The way that I had to learn about racism was my brother telling me, someone calls you a packy, like, bruv, I put that post up on my social media recently as well, where, you know, I was a young kid and someone told me to go home and eat cornflakes. It was only when I saw my brother attack this boy that I obviously, you know, I fought and asked questions afterwards. Like, it was too, you know, not to get into the crux of the story too much, because whatever, but it was only after the fighting had stopped that I had to try and understand and ask my brother, what did he say? Like, what did he say? Like, I just matched my brother's anger, you know, and what did he say? He said we should go and I didn't know what a coon was. I don't know what a wog is. Like, I didn't know what a packy was. And it's only through, you know, growing up in an area of predominantly white people where I've had to learn that, yeah, okay, this is a packy, that's a wog, this is a coon, you know, N-bombs dropped everywhere. Like, but again, I do feel like, you know, it's a privilege that white people get to be like, oh, do you know what? I feel like I should learn about it, because we don't get that choice, bruv.
Do you know what the true privilege is? Is that, first of all, like you said, I get to make a conscious decision. If it's me wanting to do anything, do I want to do that? Yeah, and I do. The privilege is, the true white privilege of that situation is that if I didn't, my life would be unaffected. Mm-hmm. That's what people don't think. That's the true privilege. Is that if I didn't learn about it, I could shut my eyes and go through my life and never have to worry about discrimination to me or to how it affects other people. I hate it. You know, I don't like.
Man, it's so
mate,
shit.
I just.
It's so
the
shit.
The fact that someone screamed, "I can't breathe," and nobody moved. You should do that. You should move that for anybody. Like, I don't understand where these tactics come from. I don't understand why three people are holding down one man. Ever. I certainly don't understand why it's just a position where you can focus your center of gravity. You're going to do it on, let's just say that's the slimmest part of your body is your neck.
100%.
And it's the only way that you feed your body with oxygen.
Thing is, he knew him as well, didn't he? He knew him.
They worked together, didn't they?
They used to work together at the same business. They used to work security together. He knew him, bruv. He would have seen him. He would have seen him day in, day out. He would have. Yeah, he knew him. He knew him. It's fucked, bruv. It's just, it's fun. But the thing is as well, and then and then a very, very strange situation where, you know, a white officer has killed a black man, accused of obviously racism, which, you know, is obviously fair enough. And then you look at his missus and she's an ethnic minority. And it's like, dude, okay, like, this is what's confusing to me, bruv. Now, it's confusing because I always make the joke to the missus, and she makes a joke and I make a joke, and, you know, there are certain aspects of stereotyping people. We spoke about it in jest before on the pod, where, you know, it's a bit irresponsible to say racism is funny. It's obviously irresponsible, but it's kind of so factual to say that certain stereotypical jokes are funny, and it is important, because me and the missus are an integrated mixed couple, that we do have, you know, inside jokes and stuff like that, and that kind of stuff is fine. And we say
but those jokes, when you have them, they're not aimed at your ethnicity or your community. They're aimed at, she's taking a pot shot at you and you're taking a pot shot at her.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's the, like you said, it's hard to navigate this without, we try to stay as neutral as possible, but that's your individual situation there, isn't it?
Exactly.
And if anything, you're identifying you know, what's unique about the two of you.
Exactly. Now, and the running joke is basically like, you know, how can I be racist? My wife is white, and she's like, oh, how can I be racist? You know, I've got a brown husband, blah, blah, blah. And taking that from a joke to a semi-serious point is the fact that police officer is probably in his head, how can I be racist? My wife is Asian. Like, she's of Asian descent. How can I be racist? I'm white. She's Asian. we're a mixed couple. I'm not racist. Look at my wife. And it's like, it goes a little bit further than that. And that's why, as I said, to bring it back to what I said at the beginning, I don't think it's going to be difficult for racism to be completely obliterated, because I don't feel like right-wing racists think they're racist. I genuinely think it's complete ignorance. I feel like a person, like, I see people on my Facebook who see me and approach me and talk to me and call me Sandip and call me bruv and call me mate. And then they share a Tommy Robinson post because they're like, no, it's not racism. Like, how can I be racist? Like, I'm your mate and I've got a black mate and my missus is blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, that's not what racism is. Like, you're missing the point there completely. What you're missing is the fact that talking to a black person or a brown person as a person and acknowledging them as a person, that's normal. Like, that should be considered normal. But you're just normalizing it by going, oh yeah, but Tommy Robinson's making some good points and Trump makes some good points. I actually like Trump because he says what politicians are. Like, all right, brother, I get that shit. I do understand that kind of stuff, but people just need to take a hard look at themselves, bruv. I just feel like that. I feel like I've just been really, it's been mad, bruv. It's been mad.
Well, I'm listening to you, mate.
No, I know. And you know what? The thing about it as well, bruv, is, like I say, black people got it much worse than us, and I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck if you are Indian right now or Pakistani or of Asian descent, and you're listening to that and you don't agree with that, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, because black people have it so fucking bad compared to us, bruv. Like, at least we're looked on to a certain degree as, oh, you Asians got money in it. You got businesses in it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, we're looked at that to a certain extent, but that kind of shit itself is mad as well. Asians they're all right. They're good at maths. Asians, they're all right. They got corner shops. It's like, at least, I know that's not a good way to look at it either, but it is.
But you're just identifying stereotypes there.
Exactly. But they've got it so much worse than us, man. And yeah, you're right, bruv. It just stems from so much shit. But hey, man, listen. I suppose we can wrap it up. It hasn't been the funniest episode, but it's important to talk about these things, Phil. I don't know. I just feel like it's important, bruv.
I definitely feel that way. I'm grateful that we've had the opportunity, especially you and me, to have that chat. I would just say, before we wrap up, obviously, to anyone who's listening, still try and be better tomorrow and the day after. Let's not give up. Let's listen to people and their struggles and hear them, learn more about it. Try and support any way you can, whether that's by protesting, donating, sharing pages. Let's not stop.
100%.
Keep going.
And it's not this isn't black versus white or white versus brown or brown versus white. This is racist versus anti-racist. This is exactly, it's all it is. It's all it is. It's not a time for white people to be lambasted. It's not a time for white people to be, listen, and this is a mad point as well, bruv. Listen, white people in America should be fairly happy that black people don't want revenge for slavery. They just want equality. There's never been a talk of revenge. There's never been a talk of public white lynchings. There's been no call to arms for revenge. There's been no call for even reparations. But all they're asking for, and all ethnic minorities are asking for, the same way women were asking for it years ago, is equality. Equality of everyone, inclusiveness for everybody, and just a chance to be treated the same as everybody else, bruv. And like I said, I'm Asian, I'm Indian, I'm a brown man, and I haven't had it half as bad as some black people as I know. Trust me. Yeah. So yeah, man. Just try and do better. And to all my white friends, to everybody, call that shit out. And I've got some of the best white friends in the world. I have people around me that have banged people in the face for me being called a packy. When I'm out with my friends and they're white, if the word packy gets flung around or someone shouts the word packy or a racist slur, my first thought is, oh fuck, where is Kyle?
Shout out Drake.
Because he will bang someone. He will bang someone for that, bruv. Like I've seen him fucking do it. So, it's not a time for white people to be feeling up on their backs against the wall. It's not like that. It's just a time to, if you see shit, call it out. If you hear the term packy shop or someone says whatever, just call them out for it. Just be like, yo, that's not cool, because it's not fucking cool. Yeah, man, that was it. Thanks very much for listening again. We'll be back hopefully next week with Eggy and Phil P back, and hopefully we'll be back to our comedic best. But yeah, thanks for making time today, mate.
No worries, mate. Stay safe.
Take care. Black Lives Matter. See you later.
See you later. Bye.